And first item on the agenda is public comments, and I don't see any public here, and I don't see any up there. So move right along to new business. So I'm assuming I'm kicking that over to Chance on our budget.
Minutes.
I was hoping to have some more details on the funding sources, and not funding sources, but funding calculations for next year. Budget unfortunately has not gotten those figures to me. So other than that, I unfortunately don't have much of an update coming to the committee in terms of budget. So I guess the goal now would be to have those figures in place, a plan from WDI on their side, and some action items on that come March.
Okay, thank you, sir. We'll tail that for next meeting and move on to reports. I see Lieutenant Nichols is on board.
We need the minutes approved.
Minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have that on here. It's not on the agenda, but we need to go ahead and call for the need a motion to approve the minutes from last week. It is on there. Sorry.
Oh, did I not put it on there?
No, it's on there. I misread it.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yeah.
I see. Any opposed?
That was who?
Lawrence had the motion. John had the second. And they passed all in favor. Sorry about that. So now we'll go on to reports, and Lieutenant Nichols, you're up.
Good afternoon. So last month was pretty good. It was quiet. We had a total of 132 charges downtown, 20 being alcohol and drug related. We did have 10 DWIs. We had 5 bar inspections. We also were continuing to work with businesses and reference the unsheltered population, and also linking in some of these cameras with our real-time crime center, the Sting Center that's at our headquarters. So we're working on getting some of those fed directly in, which would be good. I also met with the general manager and the head of Securitas Private Security at Ballast, referenced some auto B&Es that they're seeing down there. We've linked up with our detective division. We have some suspects, and hopefully some arrests will be made in that in the next week or two. And other than that, we're just preparing for the marathon next weekend.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any questions? And we'll move on to Christina with WDI.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. Just quick highlights from the report that I sent out for January. We did an assessment of the ADA accessible mats all throughout the district. We have a new schedule for the Riverwalk trash bin lid sanitation. So we've got a little bit more focused efforts on cleaning those trash bins out on the Riverwalk. Really good engagement period happened during the MLK Day Parade. Our ambassador Rob has received an award for January 2024, the recognition that stemmed from his reporting on a physical altercation that happened between 2 unhoused in the area of Front and Market Street. And just a new update, Thomas has now been, he is now a part-time ambassador, and Chris Brown has taken lead. So if you look on the, I think it's the 3rd page of your report, you can see his face. Chris Brown is now the team lead, and we have David Poppy, Michonne Prescott, and Rob Swanson as our full-time ambassadors, our full and part-time ambassador staff. We have 1 staff member right now that's still in a 90-day training employment period. Should that be successful, then I will announce her new position, but her name is Diamond, and she's been working with us for quite a while, for a few weeks now. And so far everything's been going smoothly. We did have some notable success for the MSD street outreach team. There were 2 prominent individuals were successfully housed through coordination of benefits management and adult protective services and Wilmington Police. So that's 2 individuals who are now housed, who have been frequently interacting with Jack and with law enforcement as well. And then we had reunited one individual with his family while he recovers from a drunk driving accident. He was left out on our street. So he's now back at home with family. I presented during the joint city council and county commissioner meeting back last week regarding the MSD's role in street outreach and how we interact with both engaging with the unhoused as well as cleaning up after the unhoused. On top of the normal day-to-day operations that we do. And I think it was well received by council and commission. They are going to be holding another meeting sometime soon, which is good. I think they're going to be going and discussing it and hearing from some of the organizations that are providing those services out in our community. An update, we are almost ready to launch our parking map. We've been working with some Bring It Downtown funding to create this map that highlights all of the parking amenities downtown, as well as all the businesses that surround those amenities. That project's coming to a close in development this week. And then my team and myself will be working to populate that map with photographs, information about the parking decks and the parking lots, as well as information on the businesses that are in the community. So some positive things coming down the pipeline, including that map will be ready to fully launch that hopefully by the end of spring, early summer.
Great. Thank you, Christina. Any questions for Christina? There's the map. All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to the city's reports.
Thanks, Tom. Honest, it's been so quick since our last meeting. I really don't have any updates to add on the city
All
side
right.
for the good of the community. I will just add to a piece of Christina's update on the ADA MAT assessment and that little paragraph that was in her January report. The city street facility team had requested that of the MSD team to really get us an inventory and damage report of what's out there. And they're going to be working with the contractor to not only fix what's damaged out there right now, but have an ongoing process. So as things come up from the sidewalk or get ripped up, that there's a quick action item coming from the city street team. So beyond that, that's it on the city side.
Okay, that's great. If there's no questions for Chance, then this is going to be a really short meeting. And if hearing none, I need a motion to adjourn. Second.
Tom, I
Oh,
hate
sorry.
to hold on. I'm
Go
so
ahead.
sorry. I am so sorry. I hate to be the kid at the end of class that raises.
No, absolutely
like a
not. Go
jerk.
ahead.
So I got some landscaping quotes for the beds in front of Common Desk and the big one behind Common Desk in the alley. First of all, to get battery controlled irrigation, so one of the things I was worried about is having to run it all back to the building with conduit, electrical, and everything else. But you can get battery operated controlled irrigation for those small beds. It's like $600 to set it up. It's nothing. And then I got a quote to do the whole bed. The front bed I think is about $3,500 to get all that crap out of there. Till up the soil, aerate it, fix the compaction of the soil, get mulch in, new plants that don't look scraggly or dead. And then the back thing is about $6,000, which I'm happy to do. And I think it would be obviously an investment for the city, but I don't know. I mean, am I gonna have to get permits for that? Is that something that the MSD can say, hey, we're gonna try this as a pilot to, dedicate these beds, or allow, businesses to sponsor a flower bed, or what do we think?
Hey, McKay, I have a question. What's the water source on the battery operated irrigation? Where's that coming
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask me that question.
Sorry.
Hopefully city water. There's city water right out of there. I really like
Okay.
not to come out of my building. It's just expensive to go in. But yeah, I'd be happy to set it all up and pay for it. It's just a matter of, can I do it?
I think.
And
Go ahead. Okay. Keep going.
And is it going to be so painful to do that I just don't do anything and nobody does anything?
McKay, I'm aware of the back one in Vance Alley. That's the one you're referring to, right? One of them.
Yeah, that's right.
And the one in front of you, the one in front on Front Street, is that one that was just landscaped with that Front Street
Probably.
project last year?
I don't know, but everything in there's dead and the mulch is all. Yeah, I mean, everything's going to die without irrigation. I've said that 6 million times to,
Yeah,
city
absolutely.
planning and engineering, but
I think as the official asset owner, the Park and Rec team would just have to be briefed on it. We've allowed it. There's some precedent. We've allowed some private entities to beautify those landscape beds, not in the MSC, but right adjacent to the MSC. The large bed at the corner of 3rd and Market Street, the Market Street.
Yep.
Coming into 3rd Street right there at the core of downtown.
Mhm.
There was some grant money funded through some private organization, and there was like the Cape Fear Gardens Club or something along those lines. Actually put all that plant life in that intersection last year. So there's some precedent. So I think you and I should maybe talk offline initially and
Okay.
get a potential plan or on the private side for you guys to do it, or an option and ideas for the MSD to kind of sift through. I like the idea of, if it's not short-term, long-term, some business sponsorship to potentially some of these flower beds and landscaped areas out in front of their storefront. I think that's a nifty idea.
All right. Well, I'll get with you, Chance. Figure it out.
Is this something that could be played into the special project funding that we were looking at, that chunk of money we wanted to take out of the MSD this year? I know landscaping, the gates, the little fences around the beds and all that were being looked at, but without nice, proper landscaping, I don't see the need to go and buy these nice fences to put around our planting beds when the mulch is insufficient and the planting beds are not good.
Agreed. I think they need to be run together as project. I mean, it needs to be one project, not two separate projects. Or at least.
Yeah, the comment I gave to city manager that went back to council on the metal, steel, or
Iron, whatever they
iron,
are. Yeah.
whatever the heck material it is, landscaping beds that we discussed last month, that the committee seemed to be pretty gung ho and in favor of. The comment I gave them was, yes, the MSD committee is in favor of taking lead, supporting, funding, kind of all of the above in various fashions, but along with that, the bed should be replanted and not put fences around an empty landscape bed.
Okay.
So the group is aware too, through parking funds, we've requested $200,000 for parking to fund some landscape beautification throughout downtown. The extent of that, whether it'll get approved, how far that funds will go, to be determined. But I think if that is approved, then obviously this group could be involved in that process plan and kind of scope moving forward.
Okay.
Well, so.
All right.
But I mean, back to McKay's idea, even if it's not short-term, some long-term, say there is a planting and beautification and, say 20 beds or landscape. I kind of like the idea of this biz sponsorship, and maybe there's some funding sources down the line to where, some replanting material and stuff like that is purchased via the MSD.
Right.
And then each business plants it and kind of maintains it, waters it, all that fun stuff.
Yep.
In Denver, all throughout Denver, the beds and, you'll have the sidewalk and the green area. That green area is a responsibility of the property owner adjacent to it, and they can be fined if they don't maintain it. So, I mean, it gets a little odd. You'll see somebody has a garden out there, but in the city, every bed is maintained by the tenants, the building owners adjacent to it.
Yeah, there might be something similar in our city code, just
Yeah.
whether or not it's enforced or not.
Yeah.
I do.
Just for I know there is for the stuff up on North Fourth and Brooklyn Arts for the stuff between the sidewalk and the
The
street.
grassy plaza.
Right.
areas, where that within the code and how it's separated within like the grassy plazas versus landscape versus trees. I know the trees, the city has kind of taken
Right.
100% ownership
Right.
of in terms of the
Mhm.
landscape versus the grassy plazas. There might be some gray area there, but I do
Yeah.
know there's some language in there.
Well, I think the other part of the great, at least for us on that part of for the part on the Brooklyn Arts was the limitations to what the city's allowing us to plant too. So we just ended up doing a bunch of mulch because we couldn't keep everything. There was no irrigation, so we couldn't keep anything sustainable, and we had a limit as to what we were allowed to plant in the first place anyway, other than grass. And it's there's not enough there even to mow. in some, in some.
Outside the MSC, I do know, I saw some notes come from social media recently. I forget who it came from, but I know the Castle Street
Mhm.
district has also done some beautification on their own.
I think we're doing monkey grass. That's what we did at the firehouse. Liriope, you don't have to water it. It's gonna grow and grow, and you can break it up and spread it. So,
Could it be the situation where we do matching funds, like somebody submits an application, we do matching funds for up to a certain amount of money?
Sure.
it's a good idea.
Almost like a,
With the MSD.
Yeah. Well, just like it's
We
a
had a-
facade improvement grants, very similar. Yeah.
Exactly.
At one point, we had a landscaping grant through WDI, didn't we?
Hmm.
Sort of.
See, I
That
think-
it never got off the ground. I
Right.
don't
No,
think, but there
yeah,
were-
it was
but,
definitely proposed. We had talked about it for a long time, but I don't think it was ever officially implemented.
I can go back through those documents and see what that grant program looked like. And
Rather than a grant, like get businesses
Mhm.
to buy in. with some
Microphone.
You know, if the project costs 500, we'll pay 250, they pay 250.
Mhm.
I agree, right? And again, at least if the property owner, somebody's putting up some of the money, they've got a little bit of skin in the game. It's not like it's grant funding that they're, hey, it's free until it gets all beat up again. Because we've had such a success with the facade improvement grants
Yeah.
that
We could submit.
model that for the landscaping.
Yeah,
It's like
Follows the
approved, it
rules and
follows
everything, yeah.
rules and everything.
yeah.
definitely something. I like the ownership of those storefronts right there.
Yeah.
Even if it comes from some of the daily maintaining or
Mhm.
Yeah.
maintaining and watering.
Yeah.
I mean, the watering's
Yeah.
one
Big
the
part
key
of it.
pieces
Yeah.
this.
We had at one point discussed window box. I guess, and kind of knocking off what Charleston does. And, doing some kind of a grant for the business owners to do window boxes and maintain them,
Yeah.
plants and. So we can start with the tree wells.
Yeah, let me get some info too on what approvals were needed for the group that put some funds toward marking a third. We can kind of backtrack and go from there.
Okay.
Great ideas.
what about a city volunteer day? Where we do, not necessarily through the city or, maybe through WDI, we have a volunteer, people sign up to register, they bring gloves, they bring plants, we provide the plants and we designate which beds on that day that we want to replant these. Because the nicest looking planting beds that we have right now in this downtown Wilmington are the ones done by, was it Cape Fear
The garden club.
Garden Club?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They look beautiful. I think they did the one at the waterfront too. And I'm not sure how they irrigated or anything, but I do see a man out there in the middle of the median at Market and Third Street watering every once in a
City
while.
Park and Rec team member, I think that
Is
regularly comes through. There might be some supplemental from the garden club, but I do know some city staff.
that group offered to do even more. They would like to do more.
Okay.
Let's invite them in.
Yep.
Would it be helpful for the committee if I went out and we counted all the planting beds and then we had a contractor, we got three different contractor quotes for doing landscaping beds and individual quotes for each street, just to see how much it would cost. Because if this committee votes to put, I don't know, $100,000 or $200,000 towards council to do some sort of landscaping program, and we do all that work to get it approved, but we find out, $200 is not going to get us or $200,000 is not going to get us very far, then, especially with mulch prices and, all that fluctuates, then, we're not putting enough emphasis on what we'd like to have if we're limited by the funding without having some sort of
I think
Right.
benchmark.
Well, even if we,
Cost.
rather than go through a full 3-person bid process, even if you just counted them, went to the landscaper that we used for the stuff up on North Fourth and on Third, just to give us a ballpark per bed. So we could say, all right, this block's gonna cost roughly 25 grand, that block's gonna cost roughly 25, 30 grand, whatever. And then we start digging into the weeds to how we actually get it funded and do we have enough and that kind of stuff.
They did it by area and per, I don't know, per yard of mulch. So I'm not sure how they would do that. Maybe we could replicate it from what they did along Third Street and just translate that portion of the project onto Second and then Front and Water Street too. I don't, those planting beds are suffering as well.
Well, again, I'm
I
just
can
trying
get
to
these,
say,
I'll get
a
these
little bit
guys
of
that
work
are,
rather than go through the full
Full
spiel,
process,
yeah.
I'll get these guys that are doing my bed, they'll go through and count all that stuff and give us a map. They'll do a full proposal for us if we want to
Okay.
do that. I'm pretty adamant that whatever happens, landscaping, we include irrigation, which is going to be my biggest hurdle, tapping into the city's line there and using it for drip irrigation. It's just basic drip irrigation, nothing complicated about it. But that's going to be the whole that's going to be the whole wrench in the cog here. Is if
Yep.
city engineering decides we can't use their water line because they don't want us to, which is what it'll come down to. So we'll have to climb that hurdle. East-West Partners happy to pay for our shiny example in front of us. Just got to get approval, from whoever, or I don't have to get approval, and y'all can rip it up.
Yeah, just, the age-old MSD city question that also needs to get answered is, I'd love to say, hey, let's use MSD funds for all this,
Mhm.
matching grants and whatever, but you can't forget the city does have a baseline role. in
Yeah,
this.
agreed.
Even if it's some maintenance, planting, getting it to baseline, what that means,
Right.
it's annual mulching, something needs to get established just so MSD is truly playing its above and beyond.
Right, agreed.
You know, we're not talking about a big area if we're only talking about the MSD. You know, I've lived a lot of years in marinas and we always had like converted golf carts and put big plastic water tanks on the back. And then you just go through the journey and you're out. I don't know why we make it such a big deal. I don't think
Because
we have
there's a
to go
law
through
in the
the.
state of North
I don't think-
Carolina that if
What's
it does,
that?
the MSD can't own anything that's not gas powered and doesn't have a license plate on it. The only people that can have an electric vehicle do that kind of stuff is it has to be a gas powered. What's the law? We've been through this.
State law
It's a st-
required they call it, it's a gas powered vehicle that can go over 20 miles per hour,
Yeah.
I think, or something like that.
Right. Has to have a license tag on it unless it's owned by a municipality.
So why can't we do that?
That restricts it, yeah.
Yeah. Because we
So
tried
why
to buy
can't
a
we do
couple of
that?
gators and do a bunch of things that just got shot down
Yeah, and
repeatedly.
in terms of watering, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, the MSD owns the mechanism to water that can get attached to the back of the pickup truck,
Right.
but is it still in there?
I see you driving around.
Yeah, it's still,
The
Yes.
tank is still in the back of the pickup truck.
The tank is always in the back of the truck.
So-
They
so
use
we-
it, that's how
yeah.
they pressure wash.
So we have a tank that can be used for watering then, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
it's
but-
a labor of love. It's a capacity issue. It's a ton of man hours to just water.
It-
We were using it for the.
flower
Yeah, the
beds,
plants,
the hanging baskets. Yeah.
Yeah, we did use those for the hanging baskets and we had it was many, many hours dedicated to watering those and not focusing on the cleanliness of the
Yeah.
MSD, which is
Are
why
there
we
planting
did away.
materials that we can put down that don't require a whole lot of
And that's gonna be the trick.
Yeah.
You were saying, I mean,
Laribe. That's our problem over on Castle Street around the firehouse. The oak trees don't like anything. So that's the only thing we could get to grow in shady areas with lots of roots. So,
Yeah, identifying the right plant species is
Mhm.
gonna be
Yeah, we'll just put our arborists to work because it should be almost that or what they call it, heritage planting, something that is native to the area and that will,
And also timing, you gotta remember, new funds come in July, so
Yeah.
either if there's funds, wherever the funds come from,
Mhm.
there needs to be strategy on an early fall or a
Yeah.
spring planting, so
Yeah.
things are established. So there's gonna be some gaps somewhere in that, where you
Mm.
attack that.
Agreed.
Unless we do this.
Never an easy answer.
Anybody see the cherry tree on Front Street?
Things coming.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
All right.
Have y'all ridden down Castle Street to see the tree replacements? They're what my grandmother called switches. They're not trees, they're about that big.
They put flex pave down on some of those?
I don't
beds?
think so. I think they just filled in the tree well.
Okay.
But we're
Are
not gonna
they,
see them grow in our lifetime.
They're not crepe myrtles, are they?
But I mean, back to, I think it was Tom, somebody just mentioned it, take away the tree wells. There's not a lot of landscape
No.
beds downtown. It's the new blocks that have been streetscape on front. So the first 4 blocks, Market to Walnut
Yeah.
on North Front. Portion of those were landscape freshly last year, so they probably need the least work. First 2 blocks need some TLC. Intersection of Market and Front Seat needs some TLC. 3rd Street needs some addition versus what we put in last year. Because you got some sections with decent looking roses, and then right across the street, those roses have really been mutilated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think identification numbers, rough calls.
Mhm.
Good starting point.
Should we add the tree wells to that too?
I mean, most of your tree walls now are flex paved.
Yeah, plexi pave or whatever.
New ones have the grates on them, so we're not gonna be able to touch those. The tree walls on 3rd Street, maybe not.
No, I mean, as far as missing trees, we have a lot of missing trees.
Sure, yeah.
I think that's fair.
At the bare minimum, missing trees, so we can remind Park and Rec Arbor's team that there's still trees missing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Does anybody have anything else?
I am so sorry for that question, guys. I apologize. I did not know it was going to take 35 minutes.
Not a problem. Okay. All right, hearing none, I need a motion to adjourn. Second,
Second,
all in favor, get up.
aye.
Thanks, everybody.